seeds of the Master Creator, I believe we have the innate ability to create the world we like to see for ourselves. The creative realm is a space where we deconstruct our minds and challenge our thoughts to transcending conversations. My name is Moses, and I urge you to join me on this journey. Welcome to the Creative Realm Conversation Series. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Realm Conversation Series. Today we are going to be in conversation about monogamy, societal norms, and the relationship between the sexes. And to help me with this conversation, I have a dear friend of mine who is here. I call him like a serial entrepreneur because he has his hands in everything. Anybody who knows him knows that he's a very busy guy. This is Mr. El Dino. Thank you, bro, for joining me in this conversation. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Looking fly. Always. Always.
I thought to come prepared.
Yes, listen. I think this is a good conversation for us to have. There's so much going on with the conversations that be happening around with, the relationship between men and women, monogamy, societal norms, how we navigate relationships. And one thing that I've tried to keep as the premise of my show is that I like to have unscripted conversations. So a lot of my guests are literally being ambushed by my questions, but it's a safe space.
No worries.
It's a safe space.
I trust you.
yeah, exactly.
I trust that you not put me on.
I won't put you
the spot like that.
No, not too much.
Yeah, we can.
But it's about having some elevating conversations, definitely, and getting different perspectives. So I want you to be as free and uncomfortable as possible. And if there's anything that you might feel like, maybe you don't want to,
let's do it.
We'll get there.
We're here already.
Yeah.
We're here already.
So here we are. And I have a few questions. As much as I like to keep the conversation as unscripted as possible, but I do prepare like questions that I want people to, be in conversation with. So we'll just kick off the conversation. And I think the first thing I have here is, do you think that as men, we are naturally monogamous in nature, or is it a societal construct? I have my answer to this, but I'm curious to hear.
Okay.
Curious to hear what you have to say.
So I think there's a lot of dishonesty around this conversation.
Okay.
There's a lot of dishonesty around this conversation because if you say just men, and that means women are not part of nature.
All right, that's true.
Because I think by nature, all of us are the same.
Okay.
We're just, we're higher animals. We're intellectual animals.
Yeah.
We have boundaries. We've managed to set boundaries for ourselves, laws and rules and regulation, around a lot of things. So for you to say it is your nature to be one thing or the other, monogamous, polygamous, whatever it is you want to say is your nature. I think everybody has, was talking about
Monogamy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're doing it that way, I don't think it's a no. I think it's a no.
Okay.
Your decision to not be, wait, hold on. Let me get this right. Can I get this right? Monogamy.
Yeah.
Is solo.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, it's solo.
Just one.
Yeah, you and one person.
One person.
Yeah.
All right. Because what I usually hear is that in nature, men are polygamous in nature.
Yeah. That's
so,
yeah.
So for me, I don't think it's just men. Women are also polygamous in nature. Because think about it.
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of men think they are polygamous in nature is because they think they are spoiled for choices. And women are spoiled for choices as well. If we're talking about nature itself, in the wild, in the jungle, the women will always gravitate towards the strong, where they find security, where they find protection of all kind, and someone that can take care of the herd, regardless of what it is. So by nature, all of us can claim polygamy.
That's fair.
So it's now discipline. I just think it's people that are not disciplined that just go around spouting that. What you're talking about.
Okay.
It's nature. You're polygamy. You hold yourself. You control yourself.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is there's a nature part and there's a nurture part. So by nature, it's like we are poly, meaning that we can be with more than one person.
Of course.
But it's the nurture part, is that we are nurturing ourselves to be disciplined, to be committed to one person, to be monogamous.
Exactly.
So basically, when people say men are naturally poly, you brought something that's quite interesting, is that women are also a part of this conversation. So when we say men are naturally poly, there's also a part of the conversation as to why we're not seeing women are like that too, because it's so basically it's like a human thing, it's our human nature to be. I think that's quite interesting though, because when we have these conversations, or when people have these conversations, it's always from the male perspective. What men are saying and what men are thinking. But I like the fact that you brought up that that aspect that is also women that are part of this. All right. So to continue the conversation, what I was going to ask is, how do we nurture ourselves as men to be monogamous? If we're saying being poly is our nature, how do we nurture ourselves?
My brother,
It's weighted.
there's a lot of options out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the illusion we have, that there's a lot of options
That's true.
out there.
Okay,
And,
I like that.
many would tell you that there's nothing outside. Or when they leave, their significant other, both genders, I've heard this. So there's not much of good people out there. So I believe if we're not good people ourselves, it's going to be difficult to find or understand what it means to keep a good person.
That's true.
And there's no way you have one person and they will not be enough. Do you know how complex and complicated a human being is? For you to say you want to have multiple and then keep them in. I mean, I'm just speaking from my own
experience. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's reckless financially, emotionally, in every way you can think of. It's just reckless. I mean, nobody's perfect. We're not all perfect, but I believe everyone should work towards just dedicating themselves to their partner and then redefining what love really is.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because I think we've too much of Hollywood like style love is expected from everybody, but they forget that it's a movie, 2-hour movie at most, with a lot of edits and cuts and takes to put it together and make it look perfect. But that's not the way life is. No one human being is perfect, and we need to understand that, accept that, and give people grace and consideration so that we can allow them grow into the best version of themselves that we all deserve. So.
I like that. You said something that I always say, because it's a lot of energy to keep up with dating multiple people. Right. Like the way anyone that has the energy and the time to do that, like more power to you. And you also think about finances. It's expensive to have multiple girlfriends.
Not much pasta.
How many?
You know what they charge for a plate of pasta now?
Yo. It's incredibly expensive. So yeah, that part has always been like a thing for me. But you mentioned stuff about there's not much options out there, and making sure that you're doing the best that you can to be, a good partner to your partner as well. And I think that those are very vital good points as to how we nurture ourselves to be monogamous, understanding these little concepts. But a tricky question is, if it's our nature to be polyamorous, why do we then change our nature?
Okay. So, like I said, we all grew up, most of us grew up African. Even though we don't have a polygamous home, we know people who have polygamous homes and everything. So it depends on your culture, religion. There's a lot of factors that, But I believe the African system makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And usually the women even help secure this co-wives back in the day. It was done from a place of respect and companionship to grow a bigger family, because naturally the bigger your tribe, the bigger your family, the more space you occupy, the more power you have.
And our society sees that as wealth as well.
So that was wealth. Do you understand? But now, we're in a space where people are drunk on power, on power. That's just what I want to say. Power in every form, from money to land to influence, and they just think they can have as much as they want without consideration of their partner. So if you're in a system or you meet someone that's in a system that's in a polygamous or monogamous system, you have to decide if you can put up with it or not. But if you decide that you are dating somebody who understands that what you guys have is monogamous, please keep it that way. Don't be disingenuous, don't be dishonest about it. They ask, you talked about these things, you agree to stay faithful, to be committed to one person. Do that. If you can't, it's fine. There are people who are okay with it.
True.
You understand?
True, yeah.
So find your tribe, find your crew, and live your best life.
Yeah, I hear that. My thing is, when you talk about African culture, yes, even though a lot of us technically were raised in monogamous homes, mother and father, but not. I feel like a lot of us can relate to say that our father might have dipped out once in a while.
They are senior men. These are not. This is not conversation that we can have. It's there.
Exactly.
We know. I know people that their father passed away, and then more
all of a
kids
sudden,
popped up.
Yes.
People came and said 18-year-old. People that were even older than us popped up and said, that kind of thing. So that's one of the things.
It's very common.
It's very common.
So is it possible to change our nature then? Is it possible to change it, even to the fact that we, you and I, say, in our own personal experience, we can talk about stuff with family or parents or our friends or people we know. If it is so close to who we are, is it possible to change it?
So I'm going to give out this free master class
on how to be monogamous.
on how to be monogamous.
Yeah.
Postpone your cheating to the next day.
Postpone it to the next day.
Yes.
So every day you postponed it. So, but do you ever get to a point where you don't have the feeling of cheating?
At some point, it just becomes natural.
It becomes natural.
You postpone it long enough, your body is just like, this guy is not going to do anything anyways,
Okay.
And then, so the thing is, you're always going to find people that you're attracted to.
That's true.
Immensely,
that's
crazy.
True.
There are some people you don't even know why you're attracted to them. You just see them and you're like, this person is crazy. This person is,
Yeah.
And there are people you just like. And it's just there.
All
do you
of
understand?
That, definitely.
So you must learn how to identify these feelings, where they're coming from. They say because you are lacking something in your current relationship.
Okay.
Now, that thing you're lacking, are you asking or demanding or just expecting your partner to, just do it and stuff? So it's just one of those things that you just have to do a lot of introspection. Like I said, dedication is what I would define as love, dedicating yourself to one person. So this means you cannot break a lot of the, you set the boundaries yourself. They don't even need to set it for you. But if you ever get to a point where, we know how persistent the baddies are these days. But I would always say postpone it to tomorrow.
Postpone it tomorrow.
If it's today you want to send that risky text, postpone it to tomorrow. By tomorrow, in fact, the way problem they go around these days, the economy, you even forget.
You forget.
But if you remember again, postpone it to the next day.
I actually like, as much as I was laughing, I actually like that concept though. Because I've heard people talk about how staying in love is about making a decision. So every day you wake up and you decide to stay in love. You decide to be faithful to your partner. You decide to be patient with your partner. You decide to grow and build. So if you're postponing things, that's part of this. That's part of deciding.
Exactly.
You're deciding to stay in love. So that's a good thing. It comes from having good mental strength.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah, and understanding what you want for your life and fighting for it.
Yes.
So for you now, as me as your friend, do I know the answer to this question? I don't know, but in your lifespan, do you have moments where you can pinpoint practicing monogamy, just you and your babe, and like for how long were you committed?
Okay, so I think Shebi will be tough now. Nobody go beat me. No one beats me. I don't need to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
The thing is, if you're asking, which you are not asking directly, if I've cheated in a relationship.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Because I for no answer you said. I kid, guys. I kid.
No, yeah.
I kid. I mean, I was once a younger man in experience.
No, yeah, everybody,
and, thought myself to be wiser than time, But I soon learned that even when you don't like people anymore, it's best to just step away.
Yeah. That's
For whatever
very true.
reason it is, you step away. There's no excuse for whatever it is you do after just because you don't feel the person anymore, because they hurt you or whatever it is. Whatever you do is a conscious decision you've made.
Yeah.
If the person cheated on you and you decide to cheat back, you are a cheat. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong.
two
There's
wrongs
no way
don't
to
make it
go
right.
around
Yeah,
it.
two wrongs don't make it
and
right.
it's something that will haunt you, but you should hold on to it as well as a lesson. Not to punish yourself, but as a constant reminder that you are sum total of all the decisions you make. So don't say somebody made you do this, somebody made you do that, you know. So just stay. But I've always been a lover boy. I think this is public knowledge. I've always been one to be in love and be engrossed in love. Do everything, the whole shebang. In fact, I'm a husband when I'm dating. Literally, that's how I see it. Because if I'm dating you because there's a future. I see a future there.
Yeah, that's good.
And
That's
regardless
a good perspective.
so that's the thing. I think I've built myself mentally to the point where I can stick to the script. I can stick to the plan. No matter what is going on. Maybe because I'm an entrepreneur and we know that there's ups and downs and everything. So we understand that fact. So even in relationship, that translates to it. But unfortunately, it's not everybody that's like that. I don't blame anybody for it. So,
that's fair. Relationships or life in general is in seasons. So if you're going to be partnered with someone, you have to understand that there are seasons attached to it.
Yes.
You can't choose to not be committed when things are shaky, when things are rough. You understand that it's a season. You might have to adjust here and there. Maybe the best you can give in this season is 60% and they have to give 40. Maybe the best you can give is 70 and they bring 30. But when you have someone who is willing to work with you on that base, that's the balance that you create, which is really good. The other thing I want to ask now is, because we are technically deconstructing how we as men are seeing relationships. We are deconstructing what society says we are and how we want to be. So when we go back to this conversation about commitment, I struggle if men have the tools and the skills to be fully committed to their partners physically, emotionally, and mentally. I don't know if you think that, if you have that. I do think that men struggle with that. When we talk about like options, when we talk about maybe people not knowing what they want, and you talk about doing the work. You spoke about that in the last question. You have done the work within yourself. Yes. But I do find that men struggle with that though.
Okay. So this dynamic is my favorite part of this conversation.
All right,
because when I bring it forth, it's always as if, I don't think men are harmless or this, or men are harmful, men are really this, that. But the truth of the matter is, men spend their whole life doing the work, actually.
Do you think all?
So whether you want to, so for men, we don't have a choice.
Okay.
You can delay your growth as much as you want, but life will demand it of you.
Yo, that's a word, bro.
You can run from
bro.
whatever. You can smoke, drink, party, do whatever. You'll be sober and you will see your responsibility right in front of you. First of all, your responsibility to yourself to do better. There's always that lagging feeling of not being enough in every man.
Yeah.
Some people don't know how to identify these things, so it becomes a depressive episode. So whether you like it or not, as a man, there's work to be done, and you must do the work.
Yeah.
If you open your mouth every day as a man to tell me that, but the women are this, the women are that, this, that, I'll just laugh at you, because I don't know what the struggle of the women.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what they're dealing with. But I also know they also need to do the work.
Yeah.
Regulate their emotions. All our lives we've heard that, she's a woman, don't worry, that's how women are. They have loose lips, they have this, I don't think that's okay.
I agree.
I don't think that's fine.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of men, I think what we've done is we think we are free by not taking on responsibilities, by not becoming responsible adults as we grow. Unfortunately, life is the way it is. It doesn't care where you are from, whatever it is, everybody has their struggle. Everybody's struggling one way or the other. And it is a part of life. It's that struggle that makes you more resilient, that makes you tougher, that guarantees you go to the next stage. So I think men are not necessarily in tune with what reality is yet. Men want to be heard. They want their feelings to be known, you know, because obviously we hear from women all the time. We know their feelings, but that's the way they heal. For us, I don't know, I'll say it for all the men. One thing you don't understand is talking and doing is the way forward for you.
Yeah. I kind of spoke about that in the last
For
episode.
women, talking and you doing is how they heal. They'll do, but it's you that will have to do the work. You have to be patient with them. Listen while they talk. As much as you have your solution that you want to give, they need to feel like the weight is being lifted off of them.
Yeah.
So this work we're talking about is different for everybody.
For everyone, yeah.
But for men, I still feel like we're shying away from a lot of responsibilities. And men also get, because you come out now, you see a lot of men say, but women this, women that, this, that. Yeah. Date your type of woman.
True.
Not the beautiful one that you see and you've fantasized about being your wife. Not the one that is exposing her boobs. That's her lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you like her, so you want her to come
and then change her and do something.
No. There are women who cover all the time and all of that. So date people who like you. People who appreciate you. And that can only happen when you learn to like and appreciate yourself to begin with. That way you don't feel a certain type of way when you don't have money in your pocket. You are not just the money. You are not the sum total of what is in your pocket.
True that.
There are people with nothing that built themselves from ground up. So there's no excuse. I don't like to give men excuses for anything that there's no tools. The tools are around. You are living proof of what the life of a man is. Just stop whining. Do you understand? Talk about it, but not from a defeated, perspective. Especially to women. No woman wants to hear that you are crying in terms of you have given up. Yeah, if you are crying that you're tired for now, you want to rest for a bit, it's different. But whining and say, okay, women are like this. No, do what you just. We are the leaders. That's what we are by nature. Whether they want to bring up any argument from anywhere, by nature, that is it. We can sit here today. Me and Halima can be born on the same day, at the same level, practice the same thing. Halima will be better than me for at least till we are 14. After that, nature takes its course. I become stronger, my bone becomes stronger, Halima becomes slower. It's how it is. It's unfair, but it's nature.
Well,
so now we take this information and we look at Halima knows how to do this, but she can't do it for longer than I can. So she'll do till she can, then I take over from there. Yeah. Do you understand? We won't always need, I'm just using martial arts for instance. Do you understand?
Physical strength.
Yeah, physical strength. We can do this from now till tomorrow. But Halima can stay and show me things that she cannot do physically, that I'm capable of, but don't know how to bring out of myself. So everybody plays a role one way or the other. And I think that's what that's where the issue is.
That issue, yes.
The major conversation, I think that's where the issue, the switching of roles, women assuming that once you have power, you have control. And they are quickly learning that even with money, influence, that comes with more responsibilities, which is what a lot of women cannot handle. If you have money today, it's you will gravitate towards, naturally.
Yeah.
It's you that have the best of everything, that everybody will gravitate towards. You are the voice of reason. Everybody wants to know what you're thinking. That. So now, as a woman, it's not so natural for you to be in that position. All of a sudden, everybody's coming to you for their problems and everything. That. After a while, you get tired. You get burnt out. This is the responsibility of men. This is what a lot of them shy away from. Imagining the fact that everybody's going to rely on them at some point to give the final word, to make a decision. I mean, what if they fuck up? What if they let their family down? What if they let this? So they'd rather not do at all. So I think we can't make excuses for ourselves anymore. It's all of us in this.
Yeah.
And we have to hold ourselves accountable, hold our brothers accountable, leave the women. If we do the right thing, if we do what we are supposed to do, and we shy away from women who are reckless, women who are this and that, society will change.
I like that. I think there were two things that you said for me that really stuck out. Is that there's work for both sexes to do.
Yeah.
So there's work for men to do, and there's also work for women to do. And it's true, it's very fair for us to be in a partnership, to be in a committed partnership that's growing and moving somewhere. We have to do work within ourselves.
Yes.
There's a lot of change, there's a lot of learning and unlearning. But then you also said something about how life would catch up with men and life would demand you to change. But it's how you keep on delaying that demand,
yes,
that is where
that determines your level of
that determines
punishment.
and your level of growth as well, which I thought was quite powerful as well. Moving on, then let me, I find sometimes that most men are practicing monogamy for the first time when they get married. So we kind of spoke about something before our podcast, just little gist on the side, but I find it that if you condition yourself to be accustomed to a particular thing, marriage doesn't magically change it.
Oh yeah, so that's that illusion I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because most people say I'll stop when I'm married.
It doesn't work like that,
no,
Baba.
bro. Everything everything compounds.
Yeah.
Over time, it becomes a habit. Imagine sleeping around, messing around for 20 years,
marriage does not
15 years of
magically
your
fix
whole
that.
life,
Yeah.
and then you get married to one person,
And they are trying to be
think,
committed in
that's
one.
it.
Yeah.
This is that. No.
It doesn't work like that.
You've not spent time working and deleting those programs that you've installed in yourself. Those, oh, let me just quickly take here and there. Let me just, pay for this and get this real quick.
Yeah.
Let me send money to this babe. She's just a friend. This, that. It starts from clap dance. They start in it. I always say this. I'm not against men spending money on women. Just make sure that's your woman.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Just make sure that person is yours.
Yeah.
You're not trying to pay your way into anybody's life or this.
Yeah,
Because there'll be people you can't pay and you get frustrated. You start to feel a certain way about yourself. So, but
marriage doesn't change your behaviors. It doesn't fix anything.
Fix your drug issues.
Nah.
It doesn't, because most people, in the society that we are in, some people marry off people to fix somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't fix none of that.
That does not happen. You prepare for marriage.
Yeah.
You grow in marriage. Do you understand? So if before you marry anybody, you've not decided within yourself that you're ready to fight yourself and your own urges.
Yeah.
Please, just sit down.
Sit
just
down.
save us all this. Just come and do wedding today. Take pictures. Next week. Us that. So what of the money we paid for? Sorry.
Let's go eating personal.
No, I'm sorry. No, well, we spent a lot of money that time. I remember.
Yeah.
They were disturbing us for our schedule. They're making me feel bad for paying late.
The facts, bro.
But
facts.
These are the conversations that we need to have.
There's something that has been going viral on the internet that I would like us to just touch on quickly. I don't know if you've seen, you know Neo now, the singer Neo.
Yeah.
You know he's in a poly relationship.
Yeah.
He has like 3 girlfriends.
Yeah.
They're like all in a relationship. They all know each other. And there's been a lot of...
a video of him kissing all of them.
Before he goes on stage. Before he goes on stage. This is my perspective on that. They are all grown adults in consenting relationship. Yeah. This is not women that he has held out of their will or any of that. They are all consenting adults. And people were complaining that he had told his children about, his lifestyle. And I'm like, I find that healthy because you're telling your children and giving them a knowledge of who daddy is. This is who daddy is. Does it mean that the children are going to grow up to want to practice that or do the same thing? I don't think so.
Not.
There are a lot of people that are raised up in monogamous families and grow up and do whatever they want to do. But I feel like he's telling his children that there are different ways that people can be in relation with. As much as we want men to, be accountable and stuff, we can't ignore the fact that people are adults who can have whatever lifestyle they want. They can decide what they want. I don't find a problem with that if they are consenting adults is what they want.
To be honest, I think there's nothing wrong with it.
I don't think
everything is, to be honest, everything is a social construct. If we're being honest.
That-
A
that's-
group of
that's-
people just decided this is
that-
not cool anymore.
Yeah,
This is not
yeah.
Even in religion, all the religions permit multiple wives. All of it.
I was going to say
all of it.
our. But
So let's
even-
not go into that because
Wait, people might say, well, they don't. I don't know if Christianity permits that,
does.
but our Christian, if you look at the Bible, a lot of the male figures were not in monogamous marriages. None of them were. Even the man that was after God's own heart. How many wives did he have? How many wives did he have? So that's that nurture and nature thing that we're talking about.
We've always had a body pandemic from child. There's always been a body pandemic. So it's nothing new, but we're wiser. We have the wisdom from these people so far. It's not really,
people might argue that that's not us being wise, though. People might argue that we are fighting our nature. People might say, why are we trying to be monogamous? Let's be poly.
So this is why everybody can decide. Do you understand? You know what? Well, let me come back to us being Africans. Okay. You know what mother-in-laws are? It's very hard to find a good mother-in-law. Imagine making that mistake 3, 4, 5 times. Imagine marrying.
Pick your battles.
Do you understand?
Pick your battles.
Me, I've decided that I'm not interested in such, arrangements.
Yeah.
A lot of other people have decided the same.
I don't judge people who do others.
Secondly, as much as it's an African thing, it doesn't always work out. Those people who have lived through the system of polygamy will tell you that there's always envy here. This time of fight, there was a division. They wanted love and unity between them and their siblings, but there was always the division. There was always fight. So they avoid that and try to, do the monogamous thing. And that's what works for them. So everybody has, their choice. Just don't deceive people into things that they do not agree to. Do you understand? That's it.
I like that.
Don't marry today, then tomorrow you say, I want to have another wife.
Yes.
Like, are you changing bag? is it shit? Yeah, just like it doesn't make sense. That's my own view, anyway.
I appreciate that. The last question, before I let you go, I'm ambushing you with a lot, but what have you had to deconstruct as a man? When I say deconstruct, what have you had to unlearn or change to help you be better in navigating your relationship with women?
Yes. So, I think one thing that I've held on to the most is that you're always going, as a man, you're always going to be loved, liked for what you do. Not who you are. What you do will always determine how people perceive you, love, respect, appreciate you. Now, it doesn't mean if you do everything right, people will love, respect. No, because some people don't even know how to be grateful. So I think what I've learned to do is do things that makes me feel fulfilled and accomplished. Consider myself a tool. Consider myself as a servant here to serve. Both the grateful and the ungrateful. I believe I'm God's instrument.
Okay.
That's one of the major changes that I think has led me to break through so many barriers that I've set for myself, because expectation, a lot of us are crumbling under the weight of expectations as men. Whether the ones from our family and the ones from ourselves, society, everything. So until I started to see myself beyond what I was doing and loving myself for myself and being okay with people loving me for what I do for them. I was not free, I was not happy, I was very depressed. Nothing felt like it was worth it. So love yourself, appreciate yourself. I'm not saying gas yourself up and lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Know when you've done well, when you've done wrong. Either ways, don't be defined by your deeds. Just appreciate yourself. Do you understand? Be accountable. Now, how others perceive you now depends on how deeply you've perceived yourself, how you now present yourself.
That's good.
Because if you say people love, because a lot of men, this is the conversation, people love me, only love me for my money, they only love me because I can provide for them. I've even heard people with family say, my family is because I'm the one that provides for them, this, that. and now ask this simple question. You yourself, would you like yourself if you could not do any of these things?
Have you allowed that to define the way you
Do
see
you understand?
yourself? Yeah.
If you could not provide for yourself, you could not eat, you could not let alone provide for other people, would you like yourself that way? So sometimes it's your duty.
Yeah.
Don't fight it. Don't look for fairness. Don't look for. In fact, it's an honor to be able to carry the weight of others. So you pray for strength as much as you can. Like I said, be God's instrument. Do good for the sake of good, and not any reward system. And trust me,
That's good.
He's going to choke you.
No, I like that.
The reward will
That's a lovely way to end this episode. If we're leaving my listeners with anything, it's about being God's instrument. I always talk about being a vessel, allowing yourself to be used by God, and defining your life and following how you want your life to turn out to be, and making sure you're doing the work within yourself. So I think that's a great way to end the episode, is to tell our listeners to, be God's instruments. Do that.
Do giveaways. You know? Share my account. My brother will send. You can send him the money. Send to me. Just do giveaways. Be good. The Lord's work is not easy.
He's an entrepreneur.
The Lord's
He's
work
good.
is not easy. Help us grease the engine that we're using to push this thing forward.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks,
I'm very
bro.
grateful.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Was
Thanks
wonderful.
for joining. This was a good one.
I was worried. He was going to ask me if I was married and have kids, because now I have to tell the world about my.
No, you're good. You're good. I won't do that to you. I won't do that to you. I won't reveal your secret family on my podcast. No, jokes. But thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Yeah. Peace.
Mashallah. This is good.
That was good. That was good conversation, bro.